Hey Vinyl community, Alex back here with another video. This is going to be a what's been spinning video. This of course is everything I've spun on my turntable since the last time I did one of these. I'd like to say there's a good mixture, but I think I've been trying to go back over some hip hop albums that maybe I haven't listened to in a while. Don't worry, it's not all hip hop before you start worrying or wanting to click off the video. There is still a decent-ish mixture, but some of the stuff I've been listening to maybe not necessarily obvious stuff, and uh, I do want to go back over some more of my hip hop in the next couple of weeks, but until then we'll just take it slow. And obviously I'm not just going to listen to one genre, because we all know that would get boring very quickly. But with that in mind, let's get on with this video because I've got a few albums to show you and not a lot of time to do it. So first thing I listened to, or I'm going to show you that I listened to, is this Best of Hall & Oates compilation, Japanese press with the Obi strip. The Obi strip actually has fallen apart. I need to glue it back together. But this is reissue on the back, but this is a really good compilation with songs like Kiss on My List, Rich Girls on here, You Make My Dreams is on here. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And you guys know I'm partial to some Hall & Oates, so having this best of is just, it's great for me, honestly. Next up, The System. This is Don't Disturb This Groove. This one is in the shrink with the hype sticker, US pressing on that. Only spun this one once since I got it, so I think it was due another spin, really, so that's why I spun that one. Really good soul album, actually. I'd argue they're best. I have an album by them I prefer that I no longer have in my collection, but I'm hoping to get back because all their stuff's pretty cheap except for that album. For some reason that one, I mean, I say cheap, like this one will set you back about £20 in good condition, whereas the others you could probably find for about 5 or 10. But you know, that's just the way it goes. So the first hip hop album we're going to show you in this video is going to be Busta Rhymes, When Disaster Strikes. My 97 original pressing on this one. Some great stuff here. Big tracks like Turn It Up and Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Could See. You've also got some great features on here. Flip Mode Squad, who Busta Rhymes has done a lot of work with in the past. Anthony Hamilton features on here. Erykah Badu features on here. Just a fantastic double album from him. My personal favourite Busta Rhymes album. I know The Coming's really good as well, but that one seems to be my favourite. Rat, Out of the Summer. Definitely one of these 80s hair metal bands that I love, and I'm not a massive fan of a lot of 80s hair metal. I take it in stages, but Rat I could hopefully listen to all the time. So yeah, there's their first album from 84. I do have their second album. I did have their third album, but purged it when I purged my collection, so I'd love to get that one back. But yeah, there's that one. D-Train, You're the One for Me. Love this album. Eluded me for so long, and then I think I found 2 copies in the same week when I found this copy. But yeah, really good. Another good soul album. And another really good cheap soul album as well. But just one you don't see very often. Another hip hop album here. This is Run the Jewels with Run the Jewels 4. The only album by them I do own, but I wish I had the other 3 on vinyl because my god, they have some great stuff on all of them. Magenta coloured vinyl, fantastic stuff. Is it their best album? Probably not. Like, I don't think it adds anything new to their catalogue. At the time it came out though, it did make my top 10 albums of 2020. And looking back, I think it still could. I probably put it a bit lower. Now I've had a chance to spend more time with the rest of their discography. but still a fantastic album from them, of course. And this one's returning back to the series. This is Being Funny, a Foreign Language by the 1975. One of my favourites of 2022. Absolutely love this album. Now, this one I was due a revisit to because, again, I'd listened to some of the songs individually, but not as the album. Does that make sense? So, I hadn't listened to them in order, which, yeah, it's fun to do that sometimes, and especially with the 1975, because they're so, the way that their music's put together, at least to me, is so artistically driven. And yeah, I just think they do such a good job. Like Matt Healy and company put together some great albums. So there's that one from 2022. Oh, look at that, another soul album. This is Midnight Star with Headlights. I didn't realize, Headlines, sorry, not Headlights. I didn't realize how many soul albums I had in here. Whoops. Of course, this album has their big single on it, Midas Touch, which, yeah, was a really big hit for them. Not massively big, but I guess big in the soul scene, if you will. Engine Number 9 is a good track on here as well. Really like that one. And then you've got the title track. In fact, you've just got loads of great stuff on here. I'd love to get some more Midnight Star actually as it goes, but this one was fun to revisit for sure. And then another hip hop album, surprise, surprise, and probably one of my, I would put this in my top 10 favourite hip hop albums of all time, probably. And not just that, I'd probably even say it's my favourite album of the 2010s. That's going to be To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. Now, say what you will about Kendrick, I think he's the best modern rapper we have today. And this album is, in my opinion, his magnum opus. I don't think he hasn't been able to top this album since. I don't know if he ever will. We'll see. But there's some really, really good stuff on this album. If you haven't listened to it in a while, go back and revisit it, because I know I hadn't visited the album in full in a minute. Like, I listened to some tracks like Alright, I Play All the Time, The Black of the Berry, I Play All the Time, King Kunta, I Play All the Time. What else? The song I, which has a very generous Isley Brothers sample. I play quite a bit. These Walls, I play quite a bit. Yeah, but I hadn't listened to the album in full, and this album is his ode to Tupac. So, yeah, nothing more reason to finish it. In fact, the closing track on here, Mortal Man, it's 12 minutes, no biggie. But the track does include an old interview from Tupac as like a sample. So, yeah, it's worth listening to. If you haven't listened to that album or just haven't listened to it in a while, it's definitely worth revisiting. One of my favourites, anyway. Arctic Monkeys, whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. Their debut. My favourite band, of course, gonna spin these guys. And again, same as the 1975 and everything else on this list that I've talked about recently. Spun the odd track here and there off of this one, but hadn't listened to it in full in a minute, so decided to pull this one, revisit it, and remind myself of why they are my favourite band. So yeah, there's that. Stevie Wonder, Uptight, Everything's Alright. Another album I hadn't come back to in a while. This one obviously has the big single Uptight, Everything's Alright on it, and has his cover of Blowing in the Wind as well, which I forgot how much I enjoy his cover of that song. Yes, this is an 80s reissue, but I don't care. Great album from Stevie. If you've overlooked it in the past, definitely worth checking it out again. The Doobie Brothers, I'm always listening to the song Waterfall Believes from this one, which I think is on quite a few of my playlists for work at least. Um, but I think it's been a while since I've played this one in full. And when I say a while, I mean probably, well, at least on vinyl, since I got it originally in my collection, which God knows when that was. I'm not going to remember that, but this was so fun to listen to. I forgot how much I love this album. Um, yeah, and I think this is the first album with Michael McDonald, a member of the band. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but definitely want to add more Doobie Brothers to the collection. Fear of Music, Talking Heads, my Portuguese pressing with the embossed cover there. I'm sure you guys know this one. I don't think I really have to say too much here. And I think I've shown this in a previous video for this series. So this could potentially be a returning entry again, but as my collection is nowhere near as big as it used to be, there are going to be repeats in this series. But this is just such a fun Talking Heads album, and might be my second favourite from them. I know I have another one which I'd put ahead of this in the ranking, but fun album nonetheless. This one, I actually came home from work today, the day I'm filming this, and my daughter Violet had this pulled off the shelf and just had it like resting in the racks. So I said to her, "Do you want to listen to that one?" She went, "Yeah," and then I ended up listening to it by myself because she went off to play with her toys or watch TV or whatever she was doing. But this is I'm Butterfly, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, which I'm sure if you're a Psych fan, you know this one. It shouldn't need an introduction. This is actually a Spanish pressing. So if you have a look on the back, there is a nice piece on the back about the band I'm Butterfly, but obviously I can't read it because it's all in Spanish. And even the track listings are all in Spanish, which is great. Obviously I grabbed this, it was for the title track, which is 17 minutes long. But the whole album is just fantastic, and listening to it today reminded me of that. So yeah, just an absolutely fun album. I'll probably dive a bit deeper into their catalogue because I know they have some other albums. But this seems to be the only one I own by them, which is always fun. Love this one. Really good Psych album. I'm not massively into my Psych, but that is one of the few Psych albums I kept. I say Psych, like I know the beginner stuff in the Psych genre. So I think I have Surrealistic Pillow, and I have like Are You Experienced in the collection. Might have a few other pieces as well, but I think this is the most psyche thing I own now. Very fun. And believe it or not, gonna end on a hip hop album because, like I said, I've been revisiting a lot of my hip hop that I hadn't listened to in a while, and although I've listened to this album countless times, I hadn't spun it on vinyl since I first picked it up, and that was quite a few years ago now. That is Only Built for Cuban Links by Raekwon. Now, if you're a hip hop fan, you're probably familiar with this. Raekwon was a member of Wu-Tang Clan. They did Enter the 36 Chambers back in '93. This is albums from '95. Yeah. Music on vinyl reissue, which this is how it came when I bought it, by the way. It didn't have the music on vinyl sleeve that they usually come in. But this one sounds incredible, and out of all the Wu-Tang solo stuff, to me, probably the most sounds the most similar to what we got on 36 Chambers. So if you really liked that album and you want a little taste into their solo stuff, I'd recommend this. Obviously, Ghostface Killah features on most tracks on this album, as well as you've obviously got features from other Wu-Tang members like Inspector Deck, Method Man, the RZA, and Master Killer as well also features. But they all have like weird nicknames. So, for example, Ghostface Killah is commonly goes by the name of Tony Starks. Nas is on here, has Nas Escobar. Method Man is Johnny Blaze on this album. Master Killer goes by the name Noodles. The RZA is Bobby Steels. You know, things like that. If they all have their own little nicknames, and they keep referring to them as their nicknames on the back of this, which is always fun. Yeah, definitely maybe my favorite Wu-Tang solo debut album. Not my favorite Wu-Tang solo album, but my favorite Wu-Tang solo debut, at least. So happy that I revisited this one finally on vinyl for the first time in what feels like forever. But yeah, there is that one. So guys, thanks so much for bearing with me. I know this video is a little longer than I had originally anticipated, but we got it done. It's there. It's going to go out into the world, and stay tuned for more stuff because I've got one more video definitely coming soon, and then we can go from there. So please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new here, because I want to get to 400 subscribers by the end of the year. And we're so close to both getting to 400 subscribers and also getting close to the end of the year, because it doesn't feel like we're nearing the end of August already. Anyway, I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye!